You are watching live coverage of on CNN, as it says 9:28 p.m. Eastern time. It is 8:28 p.m. Central time, more or less. There's a bit of delay because internet TV still on YouTube TV because CNN's still there, and we are now day 40 or 39 days and 21 hours into day 40 of the government shutdown. And as of many hours ago, the back and forth has gone to try to reopen the government or put forth the procedures to do that. We'll talk about that in a second. Right now, these are some of the senators who have spoken to make this happen. Most of these are Democrats, basically those who have stepped across the line to join in with the Republicans just to get the damn thing done, just to get the damn thing open, getting some sort of continuing resolution on so they can negotiate essentially ACA, and a whole lot of this has been on Snap. Snap seems to be the straw that's breaking the camel's back. Everybody is going nuts over this one. And as we are now in the longest government shutdown ever, or at least modern times are counting, the last one accounted for Donald Trump in his last administration, it's starting to hurt a lot of people. And now it's starting to hurt a lot more people, as has been hurting some folks along the way. We have people who've missed 2 paychecks across the federal government. If you work in anything that requires some sort of grant or some sort of money from the manna that is the USA to trickle down to your state or whatever, regardless of what Trump said about giving the states control of their money, if there's no one to write those checks, those monies don't get there. So many people are hurting across the nation and in the sense around the world as they've been cutting things back and forth. Now, the Senate negotiations that started late Sunday struck a bipartisan agreement to end the record-long shutdown, which is at 40 days essentially today. The framework would pair a short-term funding bill through late January and 3 full-year appropriations and measures, setting up a fast path to reopening the agencies once the chambers pass the package. Market futures rose on optimism and vote that it's going to be imminent. They're basically doing all the procedures, all the vote processes to make it all work out. So once it's done, they don't have this be a loss. Now, this is a very rare session on Sunday, and it's been an all-day thing with number one. For the Senate, remember, the House has not been in session since September, but the Senate's been doing this thing all day long and had their votes and had the procedures going on where people are basically waiting to have things happen, and they want to have things happen. Now, drafts and briefings indicate that the deal would rehire laid off federal workers and give them back pay. Promise them that. Protect against new layoffs happening in January. Once the time runs out, they wouldn't refire people again. And fold in sections, the full year bills, while using stopgaps for the rest of things that might have issues. Provisions cited by negotiations also include support for nutrition programs, that's SNAP specifically, and details still being refined to make things happen. This is going to be a rough shot to make it happen. Senate plans to amend the House passed vehicle and pass this compromise so they can get back to work, essentially. Now, the big part that is holding the whole thing back right now is the Affordable Care Act subsidies. That's the unresolved part of the fight. GOP leaders are offering a separate December vote rather than including an extension into the bill. That's what they want. We'll see if they can figure this out one. But Democrats, along with several governors, argue that a standalone vote is too uncertain and risk premium hikes, which people are already seeing. And centrists say that decoupling the issue is the only way to reopen it right now. And that's the government. The only way to make this happen is to separate the issue. Democrats are saying not quite yet. Now, the Senate could move first, but the House still might sign off on what they have together. The White House has signaled interest in ending the shutdown while pushing alternatives to the ACA subsidies, such as direct payments. Donald Trump says he's going to give everybody $2,000 based off the tariffs, which is not exactly how tariffs work. But the floor math will actually matter for this actual reopening, the vote to make things happen here. Now, bipartisan bloc is forming, and progressive resistance could actually complicate the package. But it seems like there's enough folks who are ready to cross the aisle to join in with Republicans because they have the numbers, but not quite the numbers, to get the government back open again, to end the shutdown at day 40, 41, how long it takes to get votes passed and get things flowing again. If the Senate actually amends the bill, the House would need to agree to the changes quickly. That would mean the House had to be in session. And there's a whole lot of cans of worms to deal with that one going forward. Now, the impasse has delayed food aid and stalled air traffic for those guys aren't getting paid, so they're not showing up, and sidelined thousands of federal workers who should be working. Some are working without pay, which sucks. Some are not working at all, which really sucks. The swift enactment would actually restart pay and operations across agencies immediately. Some backlogs would have some service interruptions, and the back pay would take some time, but it would unwind hopefully fairly quickly for the longest U.S. shutdown on record. Remember, reopening now restores paychecks, resumes core services, and reduces broader economic and travel disruptions right now, and gives lawmakers time to finish full year budgets while we have time to get to the full year. It is December. We're in the fourth quarter. If we were a real business, we probably would have wrapped things up for October, but we didn't. But we're almost at Christmas. We're almost there. We can wrap this thing up before the end of the year if they go back to work. The biggest issue, the biggest holdback, of course, is ACA subsidies, which are going up without the internal subsidies there. And we'll see what happens on that end. And voting on there separately, where Republicans don't want to fund them anyway, or together, where Republicans don't want to fund them anyway, is the deal. What we do know is because the subsidies run out in 10 years, because these things can't be permanent, we will find out very soon whether we'll be able to fix that one. If you are a person on the exchange, you get your health care through the ACA, you're in for a real rude awakening if you've not seen it so far. The numbers are going up drastically, and there's nothing you can do about it. We can do about it. I'm watching my monitor up here. They can do something about it, but will they do something about it? Will they make this vote happen tonight? Will they make this thing pass overnight tonight? And we'll wake up tomorrow for things you might have heard for a new sort of push to keep things going. We'll see you in the morning.